All right. Hello, everybody. We are here again for the next session of our Scrum training. Please let me know when you see my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, I see a screen, Scrum Master training organized by
Okay.
Fruits. Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Boom. All right, we get going. So for this particular class or session, we're going to do Scrum Events. Scrum Events. And so this is supposed to be a 30-minute class. This particular chapter is supposed to be 30 minutes, but I think I'm going to try to do it in 20 minutes because we are past time. So I'm going to put my timer on, the one that I can see. And we are going to get going because there's too much gadget. So for Scrum events, or I think I jumped a lot of steps. Apologies. So we had a homework the last class where you were supposed to create backlogs from your daily activities. Who was able to do it, or does anybody have anything to say in regards to that?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I knew I had homework and I couldn't remember what my homework was. So I will create a backlog for myself and I will email it to you guys by Friday.
Thank you. Speaking of which, I just had an idea. Obum, what do you think about, because me and emails, I don't know about emails, having a common platform or page or document where we can collaborate, like when she sends that, you can send something. I don't know if this Canva can do it, but so that it would be like a group chat thing. So we'll think about it after the class. How about you, Obum? Did you try to create a backlog?
Yes, I did a bit the way I could. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so what I did was a couple of things on my table include finalizing a workshop material that I'm developing,
Mm-hmm.
um, um, finalize the framework of the 12 fruits, uh, the material that we were developing, the workshop and course material, and um, finalize on we got another opportunity to train people from reentry program. So it's lifetime of enterprising people material that I'm also developing. So work on it. Ongoing projects for me include conclude a book on beyond morals. Um, just conclude some of the ongoing projects, meet all my clients, submit all of my pending reports.
So
So
are
that's
you saying that you added this to a backlog?
I added a few things to my backlog.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You mind me asking what tool you're using for your backlog?
I just used a note a notepad.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't use any Agile or anything. I just used a notepad to articulate the things on my desk and create a backlog on them.
So would you say this experience was because of the training, or something you were already used to doing before now?
The training enhanced it. It kind of
Oh,
gave a bit of clarity to it. I'm not the guy that I was before the class started. Um,
why
it
does it
gave
sound like this is a church? Amen.
if
Sorry,
it's a
guys.
church, let the church say
Guys, I
amen.
try to be serious, but I don't know. I just have to sometimes.
That's a big, beautiful part of life, the ability to bring everything and make it beautiful.
Mm,
So yeah, it really enhanced it for me. I did project management years ago. So but this kind of like brought it closer for me. It made a lot of sense. It brought clarity. So I'm applying it to it.
mm. Okay,
Mm,
nice
yeah.
job. Any
Yeah.
challenges? Any challenges with them? And did you face any challenges, and did you come up with a solution?
Um,
It's okay if you didn't. How
yeah.
about you? How about you, Glenda? Were you able to create a backlog from your regular day-to-day activities, and did you face some challenges and solutions? Camille said her challenge was she did not remember what it was. So Obum hasn't told us what the challenge was. Glenda, how about you? Do you have any experience with creating backlogs over the weekend, over the week?
Maybe she stepped out.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Well, can you hear me well? Can you hear me correctly, Camille and Obum? If you do, please let me know so I'll be sure everybody can hear me. Nice. Okay. Because I put the chat over here so I can see if there's any chat coming in. All right. This class is for sprint events in detail. Now I'm gonna set up my time again, like I usually do, so that we don't shoot over time, although we've already shot over time. So I'm gonna try to make this in like 24-minute-ish. It's not that much. So as you can see on the board, it's this chapter we're gonna cover a sprint planning, a daily scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. These are all Scrum events. A sprint is a Scrum event. A sprint planning is an event. A daily Scrum or daily stand-up, according to some people, is an event. Then a sprint review is an event. Then a sprint retrospective is also an event. For some people, they add a ceremony, which is a product backlog refinement. It's part of the ceremonies that people do within a sprint. So from this, you can see that here there's a sprint planning happening here. After the sprint planning, okay, let's start with the ceremony. There's a ceremony backlog refinement, pre-sprint. Then at the end of everything, let's say you start sprint one, there's a sprint planning. And then after you do your sprint planning, there's a daily scrum every single day. You have a time boxed, and these are all time boxed events. There's a rule of thumb for meetings, for sprint plannings, for sprints that are that are a month long, at most 8 hours. but I've never really seen a company that had up to 8 hours of planning, even for 1 month sprint. And then you have your daily stand-up. Then after that, or even if you start with having, even if you were to start with having 8-hour meeting, a scrum sprint planning, eventually as a team continues to work together, the time starts to reduce because they've learned a lot of things in the process. So after the daily stand-up, you have at the end of the sprint, you have the sprint review, and then you have your sprint retrospective. And all of these things are a sprint. But somewhere in between your daily stand-ups, you have a refinement for the next sprint. If everybody's clear, let me know with a thumbs up, or I'll just put it in the chat if you're clear. Okay. Wait, is that thumbs up for Camille or for Obum? Because I don't know who. That's Camille.
Repeat the question again so I can respond well.
Oh, so I was saying, if it's clear, there's different Scrum events with the ceremony, product backlog refinement, let me know with a thumbs up. Or you put it in the chat. So that means it's not clear. This is just an overview. Like there are 5 Scrum events. Okay. So if you notice, I keep calling the product backlog refinement a ceremony, so that in the exams, you don't add it as the event. It's a ceremony. Some companies would say these are all ceremonies, sprint planning, sprint blah, 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 everything, ceremonies. But when you're talking about Scrum events, it's a sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. So what is a sprint? Sprint is like, actual, when athletes run a sprint, how they run a sprint. That's exactly the idea of a sprint. But we have to ensure that we have those pillars of inspection, adaptation, and transparency, right? So sprint events are key elements of the Scrum framework. They provide regular opportunities for enacting Scrum pillars of inspection, adaptation, and transparency. In addition, they help teams to stay aligned to the sprint and product goals and to deliver productivity. And then I already mentioned that there are 5 of them: sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, sprint retrospective. So if you were to write the exam, you might not see daily stand-up, you'll see daily Scrum. But some companies interchange daily stand-up with daily Scrum. So on the field, it's different from the book. But each of these events have their own purpose, time constraints, and participants. So in all these meetings, you don't need every single accountability or role. You don't need all the developers. You don't need the Scrum Master and every single person involved every single time. And they have time constraints. They are time boxed. The daily stand-up should be 15 minutes at most, boxed 15 minutes. If it's going to be longer than that, then you move it to, let's say, keep in view or parking lot. Some teams have a parking lot where they put things they cannot handle within the 15 minutes. Each event in Scrum is a formal opportunity to inspect and adapt Scrum artifacts. And again, just for recap, Scrum artifacts are product backlog, sprint backlog, and then increment. That was our last class. So what is a sprint? So this is the image. It's the same with the one I just shared, but then in the box, you find that it's a sprint. So everything that happens from the sprint planning, backlog refinement, daily stand-up, sprint review are all within a sprint. Okay, moving on. For consistency, it is recommended to have every single event happen at the same time and same place to reduce complexity, so that you don't have to email people every time to say, oh, we're having a meeting at so that people now know that, okay, every third Thursday of every month, there's a book signing event at this particular location. It helps with continuity. And then sprints are the heartbeat of Scrum, where ideas are turned into value. Sprints, they are fixed length events of 1 month or less to create consistency. A new sprint starts immediately after the conclusion of the previous sprint. So if you were to end the sprint in the morning, you start the next sprint the same day. And then all the work necessary to achieve the product goal, including sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective, happen within sprints, like we saw from the image. Well, we already know that it starts with a sprint planning and then ends with the sprint review and sprint retrospective. They shouldn't be longer than 1 month because to help with feedback loops. And then for those of you who are used to projects, each sprint may be considered a short project. A short project. Like when I had to do feedback for the book, when I was publishing my book, every weekend I had to ensure that I had done something. So project would be, oh, go make sure that this book can be available in the Nigerian market. And I'll do that. So that is a short project, or those were short projects. Now, there are various practices to help to forecast, because if it's not like a typical project management, how do you estimate? How do you forecast? In Scrum, we use burn down charts, burn up charts, and cumulative flows. Although it's useful, they don't replace the importance of empiricism. Again, empiricism is like experiments, experimental. You do experiments, you try out new things. But then for empiricism, you have the three foundations, the three pillars of inspection, adaptation, and then transparency. In complex environments, what will happen is unknown. Again, let's remember that. Let me just quickly say that Agile, Scrum, which is a framework under Agile methodology, is best when the unknowns are more. If you're working on complex systems, Scrum is great. But if you're working on something as simple as just going to buy a car, or something very, something not complex, it's best to use regular, traditional, Agile, traditional waterfall project management. And then to forecast, only what has already happened may be used to look forward. So more like, I was going to do like an example of this, but let's just keep going and see. So let's say in our third class, when we wanted to create a bunch of uniforms for our Scrub B team. At some point, Obum and was it Janice thought they could do like 20 story points, but at the end of the day, they were able to do only 10. Or was it 12? I don't remember. So in this case, this team said they were going to do 30, let's say 37.5 story points. But at the end of that 10 days, so this is a 2-week sprint. So 5 working days, 5 business days, 5 business days. And just to add this now, the best time to start a sprint is usually at the middle of a week, in the middle. It's not ideal to start your sprint on Monday, because on Monday people are grumpy from Friday. It's not ideal to start your sprint on Friday, because on Friday people want to get out. So some teams that I've worked with usually start their sprints on Wednesdays, and then or some start on Tuesdays. So somewhere between the week is ideal for starting a sprint, that's to do your sprint planning. So now these people were not able to finish. The blue lines are the actual work being done. The red line is the estimated work. I said, okay, this was what we're going to do. And this blue line was what happened. Again, when this happens in the burn down chart, so burn down charts can be seen from applications like Azure DevOps or Jira, or if you have something manual, like I was going to share this one. I found something on the internet that I could share. If you have something manual like this one here, there's something someone created where you just put in, this is a burn down chart. Let's say you anticipated to do 1 million, and at the end of the day, you did this. So this kind of helps you track, what you said you would do and what you couldn't do. So there are different ways you can also get a burn down chart to track your progress. Other than Jira and Azure DevOps, there are so many other applications out there. So when a team is moving too quick, let's say you said we're going to do 20 story points. And again, story points are from estimation when we were estimating with Fibonacci sequence in the last class. When you have 1, 3, 5, 8, 11, no, 8, 13, then 13 plus 8. So let's say creating the buttons of a t-shirt would be 1 story point, and then to create the zipper or everything you build on the lowest effort, you can say, okay, that's like 3 story points. So at the end of the day, when during the sprint planning, your team said you were going to do 20 story points within 2 weeks. Let's say you're running a 2-week sprint. And when you started January 1st, 2013 to do it, you agreed that you're going to do 20 story points. By the second day, you are lagging behind. You're slow. You're moving slower than you said you were going to move. Even up to the 3rd day, 4th day, 5th day, same thing, 6th day. Between the 6th and the 9th day or 10th day, you can see you guys are way behind schedule. But somehow from the 10th day, you started moving fast. So they're moving real fast, and you were ahead of schedule by the 11th day. And then you coasted. Basically, you did not move fast, you did not move slow within these days, and then you were able to meet your target at the 14th day. If this is clear, put it in the chat or give me a thumbs up. Boom, Glenda. Okay.
So I only have one question.
All right.
So the green dotted line or whatever, is that just a guide for them to see each day? But then the blue line was their progression for those days?
Yes. So the green
Okay.
dotted line, no. So let me, I take that back. The green dotted line is how ideally you said you were going to work. It's going to take us 10 days to do 20 story points. Now, those 10 days are just 5 working days in each week, right? And
Okay.
all things being equal, if you notice from 13th to 14th, you were moving at the actual pace.
Okay.
But between the 2nd here and the 10th here, you were moving slowly. maybe you were learning some requirements, maybe there were some impediments, maybe there were some blockers, maybe someone was sick, maybe there was a holiday, so you were lagging behind schedule. Then somehow, I think you got everything you wanted, and boom, you moved real quick here within these days.
Okay.
So, but this is not really, it's not really, I wouldn't say it's a big deal. It's not something we should really dwell on, but eventually you will get used to it if you start working with a team. It's something you get used to as you practice, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. So again, we have burn up, burn down, and then cumulative flow. So I'm just going to briefly, okay, so this is what was supposed to be there. This is what was supposed to be in there. So burn up chats go up, and then burn down chats go down. So estimated versus completed, scope versus, so that's how a burn up chart shows how much work is remaining, whereas a burn up chart shows how much work has been completed. Do you understand the difference now? So the difference between a burn down is it shows how much has been completed. No, how much is remaining, while a burn up shows how much has been completed, so it goes up, if that makes any sense. Was that clear enough?
Yes, I see that. Well, a burn down chart shows how much work is remaining to be done on the projects, whereas a burn up shows how much work has been completed. A burn up, how much has been completed.
I mean, it's just, okay, for now, let's just ignore this. But eventually, with time, like I said, if you keep using it, these are some of the things that you improve upon when you keep practicing, if that makes any sense. So this one is
too much love, affection, or care to someone.
Okay. So this is a cumulative flow. This is how much work you have in backlog. This is how much work we have realized. This is what is in verification. This is what is done. So again, when we work with Scrum, we have to do, done, in progress, and all that. So a sprint could be canceled if the sprint goal becomes obsolete, and only the product owner can do that. Sprint planning. I already talked about this a lot. So I'm just going to say this is a collaborative work of the entire Scrum team. And when you're planning, you have to have the, this time just went by real quick. If you're planning, you have to have the stakeholders there, because they are the ones to verify if what you're going to do is what they agreed upon or they wanted it to do. So basically, you have 3 topics. Why is this sprint valuable? What can be done in this sprint? How will the chosen work get done? So here's what we decided to do. We decided to build a web page that says, hello, welcome. We're going to use this particular platform so that we can appeal to the Android market. We don't care about Apple, things like that. You talk about those things, and then the stakeholders will say, oh, no, we want you to include Apple as well. So things like that. That is why you need the stakeholders at your sprint planning. And then this is what it looks like to have a sprint planning, just to chat. So during this meeting, the team focuses on the value that can be created during the sprint, choosing which product backlog items will be addressed during the sprint. Now, let's not forget that the product backlog item has already been prioritized by the product owner. So you're picking what is at the top, what this product owner thinks is best, or has used any tool like Wischief, Kano model, or any of those models to prioritize the backlog, what needs to go first. So you choose from there as a team, then you plan the work required to accomplish the goal, and then you plan to create an increment that meets the definition of done. An increment is when you turn a user story or a backlog item to a working like a viable product or viable service. It doesn't mean it has to be deployed or shipped or launched, but it's ready. It can be used anytime. It can be launched, can be released, it can be deployed anytime. At a glance, the sprint planning has product backlog, product goal, and you inspect the definition of done. At what point is this going to be regarded as okay? Then you adapt the sprint backlog and sprint goal. When you pick from the product backlog, you take it into the sprint backlog, then you adapt the sprint backlog and the sprint goal. The participants are the Scrum team, and it is also advisable to have the stakeholders, but it's not mandatory. And then you have time box. It's 8 hours for 1 month sprint. It shouldn't be more than 8 hours. It doesn't mean it has to be up to 8 hours. Then you have your daily Scrum. You meet daily, you inspect progress towards your sprint goal, discuss any challenges you've run into, and tweak your plan for the next day as needed. It's always capped at 15 minutes, right? Oh, our sprint goal is today I need help with. Those are the kind of conversations during a sprint, a daily stand-up. But for a sprint planning, you can see that is we heard in sprint review, how does this tie to our product goal? Our sprint goal for this is, our definition of done is. So the conversations are different. Every single event has its own purpose, and that helps with not burning out the team. So again, it's best to have these meetings at the same place at the same time every single time, so that people can, it's good to avoid any complexity and to reduce complexity. But the structure this goes, the way it is done is up to the people doing the work. How do you want to run your 15 minutes stand up every day? It's up to you. The strategy, the technique to use is up to the people doing the work. And it's a daily stand up. The inspection, you inspect your progress towards the sprint goal, you adapt your sprint backlog, you move items across the Kanban board. If you've done something between yesterday and today, you move it to done. And then those participants are those doing the work, the developers. Scrum Master and the product owner don't necessarily have to be there unless they are part of those also doing the work. Sprint review. This is where after you've run your sprint for like 2 weeks or 1 month, depending on your duration or your, what's the word now? But on the duration of your sprint, you meet with the stakeholders to say, okay, we plan to do 5 at the beginning of a sprint, but we did 4, right? Then you have conversations like, what do you guys have for us? This is what we got done. And then, yada, yada, yada. Then the stakeholders can say, my feedback is, I wanted something with 2 wheels. And then you give me a scooter, but now I think I also now want something that has a pedal. And then you can go back and build a bicycle, right? And then any feedback you get from here, you have to adapt to your product backlog. But just because you had some items still in to do at the end of the sprint, does not mean that automatically by the next sprint, this will be priority. Again, the product owner decides what is priority to the business. Let's say you started by saying, okay, you wanted a feedback page where people can type in stuff. And you guys have built the website, you were not able to get to the feedback page. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the sprint, you are not able to get to that. And the stakeholder is like, well, I don't think we need that anymore. Or you find out as a product owner that there's a new technology. You don't need a feedback page. You just need to find a way to get people to feedback as soon as they are done. As you can see, that automatically is no longer priority. The product owner can push it at the bottom of the backlog. So at a glance, this sprint review, you inspect the increment, what you said you were going to do or what you did, and then the sprint backlog. You inspect the sprint, you inspect the product backlog, then you inspect your progress towards the product goal. The goal in the example of making uniforms for the Scrum Big team is to have maybe 12 uniforms ready, or 22, just in case they rip their uniforms, or maybe 33 out of for 11 players. That's the sprint goal. That's the product goal, to have all those 33 uniforms at the end of your series of sprints. So you inspect your progress toward that goal. Then you adapt your product backlog. And then the participants for this are the Scrum team and the stakeholders. It is advisable, it's recommended to have stakeholders available for the sprint review, because they can give you feedback. And then it's time boxed to 4 hours for a 1-month sprint. Again, I've barely seen any company that I've worked in because of my career that did up to even 2 hours of a sprint review. It's usually 1 hour or thereabouts for 2-week sprint, and max 2 hours for a 1-month sprint. But if it's new, of course, if you just started out the team, it might be as long as 4 hours, but it shouldn't be more than 4 hours. Then comes the retrospective. This is where you, the Scrum team, you discuss your processes, your tools, your challenges, impediments, ideas. You inspect the sprint, you inspect the definition of done. Hey, guys, what do you think went wrong with this fried rice? Did we forget to? You say, okay, it's because we did not give them the option of choosing the spice level. Okay, what should we do about that? So conversations like that happen during a retrospective. And then what you do is you adapt actionable improvements. Some of us call it action plan. So what's the action plan? And then you adapt your definition of done. Then the participants are just the Scrum team. I have worked with organizations where you find the management in those meetings. There's no way I am going to discuss an issue with a challenge I'm facing with a particular technology if I have my manager there. So psychologically, it is not safe to have managers in a meeting, because I've had companies where I basically had issues with the management because they were always trying to show up in meetings where they were not supposed to show up in. The time box for this is 3 hours for a 1-month sprint. So which is like maybe 1.5 for a 2-week sprint. But again, I've not seen any all the teams I've worked in, we've not used up to 2 hours for a sprint retrospective. So a quick summary: sprint planning, you inspect the product backlog, the product goal, definition of done, and then you adapt your sprint backlog and sprint goal, and then the participants, mandatory Scrum team. Now you can invite anybody, optional. Time box, 8 hours for 1-month sprint. So that would be 4 hours for a 2-week sprint. And that would be 2 hours for a 1-week sprint. Daily Scrum is the same. You inspect your progress towards the sprint goal. You adapt your sprint backlog accordingly. Participants are the developers, those doing the work. I've seen teams where the Scrum Master or the product owner attends those meetings to micromanage the developers, by the way. Now, if there are issues and the developers feel that they need to invite the Scrum Master and the product owner to their daily stand-up, it's up to them. It's at their discretion. But those doing the work and those who are supposed to be participating in the daily stand-up, mandatory. Now they can optionally invite other people. But if the Scrum Master and product owner are also doing the work of development, then they are also supposed to be part of daily stand-up or daily scrum. Time box, 15 minutes. Sprint review, you inspect the sprint, what you said you were going to do, you inspect the increment, you inspect the product backlog, you inspect the progress towards the product goal, then you adapt the product backlog. This is usually done by the product owner owns the product backlog. And then, of course, let me just say this, the product owner owns the product backlog, is responsible for the product backlog, but can delegate. But prioritization of the backlog is the duty or the responsibility or accountability of the product owner. The sprint backlog is owned by the developers. The adaptation is their responsibility. Then for the sprint review, the participants are the Scrum team, and it is advisable to have the stakeholders, because how else can you tell that you've improved upon what you said you were going to do? Time box, 4 hours to for a 1 month sprint. If it's a 2-week sprint, 2 hours of product backlog review. Now, a time box means it's the cap. It doesn't mean you have to do it up to 2 hours, but you have to make a provision for 2 hours for a 2-week sprint and 4 hours for a 1 month sprint. Then you have the sprint retrospective, which some of us call retro. What you inspect here is the sprint, what happened, what went wrong, what can we fix, and definition of done. Why is it that what we thought we were told to do was not what we did? Things like that. You discuss those things. Then you adapt your actionable items or actionable improvement or action plan. And then definition of done. You review that. And then the participants are the Scrum team, mandatory. Then cap is 3 hours for 1 month sprint, and then 1.5 hours for a 2-week sprint. So there's a video that I wanted us to watch real quick.
Welcome. In this video, we show an example of some of the basic activities that a Scrum team goes through when refining their product backlog. It is time for Nisha, Steve, Blake, Robin, and Cassie to refine their product backlog. They do this regularly. In the past, they used to hold weekly 2-hour product backlog refinement session. Nisha and Steve suggested trying something different, and the team has agreed to hold short daily 30-minute refinements. The Scrum team is happy to try this out. After all, when, how, and how much refinement they need to do is up to the team to decide. They can discuss at the next retrospective how effective this approach has been for them. Last time they refined the product backlog, Robin, the Scrum Master, noticed that the team was not aligned on the product goal, and as a facilitator, she struggled to keep the team on track. So this time she asked Cassie, the product owner, to start the session by making sure everyone has a shared understanding of the product goal. She hopes this will help the team to focus on the next important items to refine. Next, Cassie shows the product backlog, which is a list of things that are needed to improve the product. She has already ordered the backlog and put what she believes to be the most important items at the top. Cassie and the developers, Steve, Blake, and Nisha, discuss the order of the backlog. Nisha points out a product backlog item that's lower on the backlog, and she raises her concern that if the team does not do this item earlier, their business can be at risk. Cassie realizes her concern is valid, and they agree the product backlog item should be nearer to the top. Cassie realizes her concern is valid, and they agree the product backlog item should be nearer to the top. They also find there is a product backlog item in the backlog.
Hold on, let me just take it back a little bit.
Cassie shows the product backlog, which is a list of things that are needed to improve the product. She has already ordered the backlog and put what she believes to be the most important items at the top. Cassie and the developers, Steve, Blake, and Nisha, discuss the order of the backlog. Nisha points out a product backlog item that's lower on the backlog, and she raises her concern that if the team does not do this item earlier, that business can be at risk. Cassie realizes her concern is valid, and they agree the product backlog item should be nearer to the top. They also find there is a product backlog item in the backlog that is not relevant anymore, so they remove that one. Next, the team looks at a product backlog item that was added at the last sprint review and placed high up on the backlog. It has a brief description and some high-level acceptance criteria. Cassie did not want to put too much detail in beforehand, as she believes refinement is a great opportunity to leverage the team's expertise to help her refine this item further. Blake, Misha, and Steve ask Cassie questions, and together they update the product backlog item. During this discussion, they quickly come to the conclusion that this product backlog item will be a lot of work. Robin asks if the developers think they can start and complete the item in one sprint. They decide to do a Roman vote. Blake and Misha vote with a thumbs down. They don't think it will fit within one sprint. Steve shows a thumbs up. They briefly discuss the results of the vote, and Steve finds out that he forgot to take a few things in consideration. They all agree the product backlog item is too large, and with some help from Cassie, they break it down into smaller items of value and add those to the product backlog. Cassie suggests they discuss the order of the newly added backlog items, add further details, and acceptance criteria. At one point, the team gets stuck into a very detailed discussion. Robin steps in and points out that it's fine that they do not know everything up front. Questions and unknowns can still emerge during the sprint, as long as they have enough information to start the product backlog item in the sprint, and they have sizes small enough so that they are confident they can complete the item within a sprint. This was just one example of the team refining their product backlog. There were multiple activities the team went through in this example. They discussed the product backlog items, they reordered the backlog, added and removed product backlog items. Additionally, they added further details, including acceptance criteria, and they broke down a large product backlog item into smaller sized product backlog items. Want to learn more about activities and techniques that teams can use for product backlog refinement? Visit the Scrum.org website. Thank you for watching.
All right. If you found that valuable and useful, let me know in the chat box and give me a thumbs up. If you don't, also give me a thumbs down in the chat box. All right. So you guys found this valuable and useful? And let me know if you can still see my screen. Can anybody help me out? What do you see on the screen so I can know if I have the right screen up?
I see facilitating product backlog refinement.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Do you want me to take over from here? I'm kidding.
I have no idea what this. So Zoom. So there are a lot of apps that do the same thing, and I can assure you, Zoom is not my favorite. I don't like Zoom. No offense. I just left to me, I would use Azure DevOps any day or Google Meet. But you know, you have to do what people have. You have to get used to.
How about Teams? Does everybody have Teams?
Yeah, I mean, people don't.
Do you like Teams too?
I like Teams, but I don't think we all have Teams. But I mean,
okay.
So that video was for product backlog refinement. It's a ceremony that is advisable to happen within the sprint, because when you're running a sprint, you should be preparing for the next sprint. So product backlog refinement prepares for the next sprint. You go into the backlog, product backlog, not sprint backlog. You go into the main big silo or your backlog and see the items at the top. I don't have to re-explain that because I think the video did a good job with that. So I have a few questions. Who owns the sprint? Who owns the sprint planning? Who owns the daily scrum? Who owns the sprint review? And who owns the retrospective? Like, who is responsible? Who should ensure that these things run the way they do? Let's find out. So in Scrum, ownership of events and responsibilities is collaborative and shared, but each event has a primary facilitator and a responsible role. So the Scrum team collectively owns the sprint. Anything that happens within those 2 weeks, 1 month, 1 week, it's a collective ownership of the developers, the Scrum Master, and the product owner. But the product owner ensures the sprint goal aligns with the product vision and priorities. The developers self-manage to deliver the increment during the sprint, and then the Scrum Master facilitates the process, ensuring Scrum practices are followed. Now, if you notice, I increased the speed of my voice because I'm trying to beat time. Let's see. What did I just do? All right. The Scrum team owns the sprint planning. So the other one was for the sprint. The sprint planning is owned by the Scrum team. The product owner ensures that the team understands the product backlog. The developers decide how and what they will do, how they will do it. Then the Scrum Master facilitates the event. So the facilitation for this event is by the Scrum Master. I've seen teams where there's some sort of confusion. The product owner says, no, it's me, the Scrum Master, but the Scrum Master facilitates the event, checks the time, makes sure everybody is engaged, ensures that people are not picking more than they say they can pick and chew. And then the developers for the daily Scrum own the daily Scrum. They decide who comes and who should not pop in there. But the Scrum Master can just ensure that it happens. Doesn't have to be there like again, Scrum and micromanagement don't work very well. Scrum Master should ensure in the beginning might just hold the meetings and guide the team to show them how it's done. But after that, just avoid being a micromanager. The sprint review is owned by the Scrum team. Product owner leads the discussion. Developers showcase what they've done. Scrum Master ensures the event stays within the time box and then facilitates productive collaboration. Sometimes somebody might go on and on and on about something, and then the Scrum Master has to find a way to bring people back on track. Just pray that as a Scrum Master, you're not the one who goes off track. Then the team will bring you back on track. The Scrum team collectively owns the retrospective. Scrum Master facilitates to ensure that the team reflects on their processes, and all team members actively participate. But sometimes people don't participate. We'll get to that. So in summary, while specific roles may have a leading responsibility, there is collaboration. So the underlying principle is a shared ownership. All right, we survived the first 30 minutes. So this one, I don't think we're going to have a whole 45 minutes for it. Because again, I hope we starting on time. If people showed up early, we'll finish earlier than usual. So I'm going to do this in 25 minutes. We're going to role play this event, right? We're going to role play sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and retro. So we are 1, 2, 3. Glenda is not here anymore, right? Is Glenda still here? So I don't know Chika. I'm seeing Chika for the first time. I don't know who iPhone is, but there's Camille and Obum. Who is going to be the Scrum Master? Who is going to be the product owner? Who is going to be the developers? I'm going to be the stakeholder. So can we do this in like 30 seconds? Who's going to volunteer to be the Scrum Master?
I will.
Who is going to be the product owner?
I will. Hey, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, no, thank you.
Participation. Let's go.
Come on, guys. Obum, Chika, iPhone. Let's make this work. Let's make this work. We have to role play to understand how it works.
So what's the other role? I don't mind taking one.
So there's a product owner, the Scrum Master, then there are developers, and I'm just going to be the stakeholder, the customer who has uh, um, a business request.
Okay, I'll take the product owner. Sorry, this is my first time in your class, though, just in case, but I'm willing to play the role.
Okay, thank you. And what's your name so we can know how to refer to you?
Oh, my name is Kingsley.
Okay, all right, thanks. Hi, Kingsley. So
Hello.
Camille, Scrum Master, Kingsley, product owner, Obum and Chika. Come on, guys, let us participate. If you don't want to, you can put it in the chat. Let's get this done. Obum and Chika, if you're here, let us know. Okay, moving on. So Camille, you're going to be the Scrum Master, and Abum and Kingsley, you're going to be the product owner. So let's use the next. Let's just do this in like 5 minutes because I don't know if we have up to 15 minutes to do that.
Yeah.
So the last time we had a backlog. Let me pull up the backlog we created. So the last time we had this backlog that we created on something that looks like Jira, the free version. And we started with, we wanted to, the project was to create a video version of a book that already exists. And then we talked about how, okay, can we switch roles? Kingsley, can you be the Scrum Master? And then Camille, can you be the product owner because you were here the last time, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you explain to us what, because now that's the product goal and vision. It's the product owner's role, because I don't want us to, so that Kingsley can also understand you're coming from the customer, which is me. I said, hey, I want to do this. So tell.
So what is my role again? Sorry.
As a product owner, you own the product backlog, and then you tell us about the product goal, product vision, so that we can now decide how we're going to work on what and then we have this on the backlog. If you can see, you guys can see the backlog, it shows everything on the board that we said we're going to do. Find a videographer, get a recording device, record authors reading chapter 1, author reading chapter 1 to 5, and then get actors to play an acting role. So explain to us, Kingsley and I are the developers. Explain to us what whoever the customer was wanted, so we can plan on how to do it.
So I'm explaining these backlogs, right?
Product goal, yes.
Product goal. Okay. So our product goal is to find a videographer and we have to get a video recording device, and then we are recording chapters 1 through 5, and then another goal is to get actors.
Okay, let me take a step back. It's my fault. So a product goal is more like, what does a customer want? Oh, he wants to have a video version of his book.
Okay, sorry.
Remember that the product owner does not tell the developers how to get the job done.
Okay, sorry.
But you understand the technology.
Yes, now I do.
Yeah, and then
now
remember
I do.
that we're not going to use a drone because we don't have anybody who does a drone. Remember the last
Yeah,
time?
because then that would be another backlog, because we'd have to find who is certified to do that service.
Yeah.
Okay, I am so sorry. So what my I'm wanting to to make sure that my goal as the product owner is being met by all of these steps. I'm lost now again.
Okay, okay, let me help. Okay, I understand, but good job, good job. So what I would do as a product owner would be, hey guys, so we have a product, which is we have a new product by the business. There's this author who wants a video version of his book, and is thinking of reading chapters 1 to 5, and he wants it by the end of the year. So we've seen that we can do this within 3 months based on how, I'll just say what you guys think. So I've already put it in the backlog, and we already refined it in the last sprint while we were working on the other project. We refined this, so we know that these are things that we can do. So the goal of this particular sprint is to record the first chapter of the book. See how I broke it down? The goal of this
Yes.
is to record the first chapter of the book. Now, I don't know. And then I'm like, so this is a priority. Find a videographer, get a recording device. Now, Chika and Kingsley, you are the Scrum Master, right? So
Yes, that's what she said.
yeah, you can now facilitate and ask us questions like, so what do you guys think? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm the developer now, and Camille
Yes.
is the product owner. So try to facilitate.
Okay. So developer, what do you have in what projects are you working on to support the product owner?
So let's remember, it's more like, and this is sprint planning. What is the goal? Like, then what are we going to do, and how are we going to get it done?
Okay, so so I need to ask that to everybody involved, which is the developer and the product owner.
Yeah. So let's pretend that in the beginning you were like, so what are we trying to achieve? Then Camille will say, oh, it's to get the first chapter of the book
Yes.
recorded. And then, so now I'm the developer. Okay. You say, so what do you guys think you can do? I'm okay. Well, it's just me. A boom, suddenly just disappeared. We don't know if he's available.
Yeah.
Now, this is me being real. It's a
Yes.
psychologically team. He's not really consistent because sometimes we don't know what is
Yes.
going. He doesn't share with the rest of the team, and Chika never really says anything. So it's just me. And based on that, I can easily find a videographer by going on the internet. I can search. There's this website. I can just go and search. And then, so that's going to take me about one story point. And then I can also, I can get a recording device. It's not difficult. We already have one here that we use. And the author talked about going to Rattlesnake Lake.
Yes.
I don't know about the weather. So we're going to have to hire a van so that we don't stress ourselves out. And I think, well, Kingsley, if you can speak to the management to provide a van for us to do that, that would be awesome. So those are the 3 things I think we can achieve during the sprint.
Okay, so as a Scrum Master, now I have to contact the manager to find out if there's any possibility of making a van available for the team.
Yes, but here's the catch.
Yes.
This is the sprint planning for the sprint.
Okay.
In the last sprint, we already refined this backlog. So you already need to contact the manager.
Okay.
You see how it works?
Yes.
So then you now give us feedback. Now tell us anything. You don't have to just tell us anything, whether it worked or didn't work.
Okay, so with my last conversation with the manager, he advised that the van would be provided on the date of the event, and that he also made one of the teams available to be the driver of the van.
Thank you. So yeah, so we can get the first chapter ready by the end of the sprint.
All right, thank you.
No, you're now the Scrum Master, so end the meeting.
Okay, okay. Thank you for your contribution, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks. See how easy it
Thank
was,
you
right?
very much.
Thank you so much, Kingsley. Thanks, Camille. So this is how easy it was. Now, notice I said it's a psychologically safe team. I'm vocal. So I said that I don't rely on Obum and Chika.
Yes.
Now, some people will not say that. So as a Scrum Master, you should also pay attention to that. I'm the vocal one. Some people might not be vocal. You now have to find a way to get them to also participate in the meeting.
Yes.
You chat them inbox and say, what's your contribution? Because there are people who are like that. Everybody's not going to be as vocal as me. Good job, guys. Okay, now we're done. We've stimulated first sprint planning. Let's try the next one. I know it's very short time, but good job. Good job, guys.
Okay. Good job.
So now our daily stand-up. So we are now on our daily stand-up, and this one is going to be, let me make this one 5 minutes too. I'm not doing bad with time. It's okay. So this our daily stand-up is supposed to be 15 minutes, but we're just 3 people. So now we're going to pretend we're all part of those doing the work, right? Like right now, there's no, let's just pretend there's no Scrum Master. We're all going to be developers, right? Where is my screen? Okay. So now we have gone over to, so here's the board. Here's what it looks like. So somehow, unfortunately, I had a lot on the board. So let me just move all of them away and add the new ones. Get actors ready. Record this ready. Record author reading chapter 5. No, we can't do that. So we said we're going to find a videographer, right? I was going to find a videographer. I was going to get a recording device. And I was going to get author to read. So that was it, right? We agreed to do 3. We agreed to do 3 of them. And where is that thing? And so record. Okay, so I think it was get a recording device. No, it was find videographer, get a recording device, and record chapter 1. But then we found out that within that, we realized that we have to drive to the location. Do you guys remember that we had that? So drive to Rattlesnake, because it's also now part of the event. Or even if I don't say drive, maybe get to Rattlesnake Lake, because we don't know. That's what we're supposed to do. So somehow that was now part of our story. So those went into our sprint backlog. So we said we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then on our board, we've started working. This is the first day of no, this is like first day of the sprint. We've started working on the sprint, and I come and I say, okay, this one is ready. So we first of all have to find a videographer. So it's in progress. I'm finding a videographer, but I say, hey, so guys, I tried yesterday, but all the websites, they're not responding. All of them, they're like Washington State. They put up that you can contact them on the website, but you really can't contact them. And I've tried to call them, the ones that I saw, and none of them returned my call. So I'm gonna need help with that. And then I can now say, well, I don't think any of us can solve this problem. Let's invite Kingsley, the Scrum Master. Let's see what he can say. So we message you and say, hey, we need you on our daily stand-up. And then boom, Kingsley, you're in our stand-up. Camille, you and I are still developers. And then I'm saying, hey, I can't find a videographer. Now, tell us something. Are you going to help us do that? Because it's an impediment at this point.
Oh yes, definitely. I'm sorry that you couldn't find the videographer. I'll see what I can do by contacting the other member of the team to assist you in that.
No, but we're all here. Camille is here
Okay,
with
we
me.
are all developers. Okay.
So you're the only Scrum Master. So Camille and I are those going to do the work because
Okay.
somehow again Obum and Chika did not show up, and
Okay.
it was just me and Camille. And Camille and I have tried, or maybe okay, I brought it up. Camille might know somebody I don't know, so I tried to look
Okay.
for a videographer. What do you guys think? Camille, if you have a suggestion, just make it flow. If you don't, like just. But Kingsley, we invited Kingsley because in this particular scenario, we invited you because Camila and I didn't know what to do. So,
Okay.
Kingsley, we're having a problem with this. We can't find a videographer, and if we don't find this, we don't know what to do. That means I might have to use my amateur skills, but I don't think that's what the customer wants.
Yes. So how should I approach that then? When two people in the team, is it possible I go on my own to go figure that out, or look for somebody online, or how do I go by, or go back to, or shall I ask you the question if there's any other thing that you can do, any suggestion?
If we had the power, we would have done it without inviting you. Okay, let's switch it now. So you and I are the developers. Camille, you are the Scrum Master. We invited you. Help us out. We have a problem with finding a videographer. It's a blocker.
Okay, so my suggestion to the both of you would be to use your collaborative skills, to use your toolkits to find in your back pocket people you may know that are videographers, maybe amateur, but getting to be up in that expertise for the time being until we can all collaboratively find something that will be suitable for our product owner.
Okay, now let's just simulate. So, okay, but we already tried. Kingsley and I don't know anybody. We've searched, we called those websites, and because I actually saw an ad on Facebook, and these guys were really good, but I've tried to contact them. It was a no contact. Those guys are not returning our calls. And I don't have that actual skill. I don't know if Kingsley is comfortable doing that. We already discussed it. Because if we don't get this done, I'm afraid we can't do any other. I mean, we can do some other things, but we are having an issue with this. So,
would it be okay for us to go back to the product owner and let us know that hiccup in our thing and ask him if it is okay that we use our tutelages, the three of ours techniques of being able to be a videographer, or do we just problem solve it between the three of us and say, okay, I kind of have that skill set in my back pocket. I feel comfortable enough to go ahead and do it.
I would do the first one that you said, where you said, okay, let's invite the product owner who interacts with the customer.
Okay.
Because that's the person who has the power to also go tell the management, hey, this customer wants this, but we don't have this. Do you want to give, like, do you want to hire somebody? Do you want to get a temp? Like all those other questions. Kingsley and I should not be stressed out with that stuff. Our own is to do this. Suddenly we're stuck because we don't have this. It's beyond our pay grade, if that makes any sense. It's
Right.
not.
Right.
Yeah. So that was a great suggestion. All right. And then
Okay.
let's say, good job, guys. And let's say, but we were able to find a recording device. So we got a recording device, is in progress, and somehow it's done. Boom, because we found it. So we got one, but we don't have a videographer, but it's moved to done, right? And then which other one? Let's say get to Rattlesnake Lake. Unfortunately, it's also blocked. So these two, in my opinion, are going to be blocked until we find somebody. So until the product owner finds, or the Scrum Master or the management are able to figure this out, these things are blocked. And guess what? If that one is blocked, we cannot do any other thing. And it is said, it means that there's a problem with our user stories, because every user story is supposed to be independent of the next one. See? But somehow
Right.
looks like we're kind of stuck with one. So we cannot get the author to read if we cannot record the author. So it's going to stay in ready. So this is what a daily stand-up looks like. You know, discuss things. So people run it differently. Some people run it with the board. Some people just have coffee over the coffee table. Hey, Kingsley, I don't know, man. It's kind of difficult. I know I said I was going to find somebody, but I've tried. It's difficult, you know, and there's no show. These people are not responding. Oh, okay. I'll just go talk to Camille. So those are what daily Scrum conversations should be like. Everybody got it?
Yes, I can
Yes.
totally see how this, you know, can just be such an easy flowing project, and then can just all of a sudden be like at a standstill, like you said, as far as being in the not the done, but what column was that?
Blocked.
Yes, the blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
as you can see, the board made it clearer. So that's something about making it visual for everybody. If it's visible, people can see, okay, we're stuck here. Right? You can easily go into the board without calling me and Kingsley, hey, what's going on? You can, oh, you guys are stuck. And then it's always good to also document. So in that ticket, I'll document, I met so. It saves me time for rework, right? But some people might not want to document because it's cumbersome. But guess what? That will make people call you to find out what's going on. So if you don't want people disturbing you, just document it. But then again, as a team, we decide how we want to do these things. We can say the team working agreement is, if we have a blocker, we just put it on Teams chat, or if we have a blocker, we put it in the ticket. So it depends on what we've agreed on, so that there's consistency. If that makes any sense. Like for me, I'll be like, don't send me emails. I don't read my emails because I don't.
Right.
Agree as a team. How do you want to, you know, be collaborative? All right, let's do the sprint review. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That makes it so clear. I don't mean to interrupt. I know we're on a time constraint, but it just that our role playing really gave the perspective to me on how that works, because you know, and having that visual on the board, that it shows that, okay, I don't have to email Sally, Joe, and Kingsley. They should have accessibility to the board to be able to say, okay, Camille's having a hiccup here. Maybe the three of us can come together and help problem solve that process to get from the blocked to the done, right?
In progress and then done. Yeah.
Yes, progress. Yes. Okay. Anyway, thank you. Gave me
You're
a light
welcome.
bulb.
I have a question. If you don't mind, if I may ask a question.
So there's a question and answer session at the end, because sometimes at the end of the day, I see that if we were to wait, we'll see that some of the questions we had would have been answered. If that's okay, guys. Is that okay?
Okay, sounds good. Yes, definitely.
Cool. Okay, where's my timer? And then you people keep showing up late, and then we keep doing this. So now we're gonna do a sprint review. All right, we've worked at the sprint. Is the end of the sprint. Now I am the stakeholder. I'm not developer. You guys should figure out what you are. So I'm here in the meeting. I want to see what you guys said you were going to do and what you did. So at the end of the sprint, you did only one, and you were still halfway finding a videographer. Finding. You only were able to get a recording device. Now, one of you should be product owner. Tell me as a customer what's going on.
Okay, so I'm going to look at this. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to say,
Camille, let's do it like this. So don't
okay.
just pretend. Let's do it like, okay, guys, don't say I'm gonna, right? Just make it look
Okay.
like we're in a meeting now. You're telling me
Okay.
so that I can respond to you. And I'm going to respond like an actual customer. I might be a stubborn customer, you don't know, right? So go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So here we are in a meeting, and I'm would like to let you know that currently we are having let me see, sorry. We are working towards getting a screen reader for you. And maybe if you might know a screen reader, you might be able to assist us in this process. But right now this is oh, that's in progress. Never mind.
Hold on.
Oh,
Kingsley, be the Scrum Master. Camille is the
gosh.
product owner. Kingsley, please
Okay.
help me pick out that screen reader was not part of the product backlog, right? So I don't know how you're going to chat with Camille and tell her, hey, you don't seem like you were prepared for this meeting because because as the customer, I'm like, screen reader, did we talk about screen reader? I'm going to read from the book. You see what I mean? So we're going
Okay.
to read from the book. So you see what's going on, Kingsley?
Yes.
That means you have to find a way to communicate with Camille, especially when it's a virtual thing. You see,
Yes.
this because this thing has frustrated me before. I wasn't able to contact the person. The person kept going on and on and on, and then you now have to almost be rude or make somebody look bad.
Uh-huh.
See what I mean? So it means as a team, you should also add that to your working agreement. How do we collaborate during this kind of meetings?
Okay.
Say, well, I'll be like, yo, you better be prepared. Which means before the sprint planning, the product owner and the developers, the Scrum team would have met to know what is ready and what's not ready so that we don't look bad in front of the customer. Because the customer was like, what? Screen reader? Screen reader?
So I am bad. I was looking at, I'm trying to find add a business tune. Okay.
So forget
Now I
that.
get it.
You know that this board was a blend of some. I know it's me. The board was a blend of my business, whatever. But the thing,
Okay.
remember that at the beginning of the sprint, we had
Yes.
just 4 items. Find a videographer, get a recording device, get to the location, and then record chapter 1. Those were the 4 items we said we were going to do.
Yes.
So if there was a scope creep, if you added something new, we don't even know.
Uh-huh.
So, but you guys see
Okay,
how sorry, I'm gonna have to pause my robot. It's cleaning. I have to change the time for that cleaning as well. Starts cleaning at 10 minutes to the time.
Can you please put that in our project time frame here? Hey, I'm kidding.
So now this is what the sprint planning is like. The customer, you tell your product owner, you tell, okay, then you remind us of the product goal. You have to remind us of, the goal was to get to record a book, and our plan was to do chapter 1. But this is how we were stuck. We couldn't get this, couldn't find a videographer. And then I'm like, oh, I have one. I can give you one. See? So transparency is good in this. I'm the customer, yes. Sometimes it's good for you to tell me what your blockers and challenges are, because I might as well just have a videographer. I might as well change it to, oh, you know what? I can record. Why don't we find an actor to read the book while I record? See? But it's collaborative. We have to have these conversations, and we have to be transparent enough for that. And there's nothing wrong with changing it from I wanted to read the book to looking for an actor to read the book. I could say, oh yeah, Camille, the last time you and I had this conversation, you talked about getting actors. Yeah, if you can find an actor, I can read the book, I can record the video, produce the recording, blah, blah, blah. Now, that can also happen within sprint planning. All right. Good job, guys. Let's move to the next one. Now let's do retro. Let us do a retrospective. Let us do a retrospective. I have one retro board somewhere. All right. I'm going to call this Sprint 1. 1 retro. Can have just 1 vote. Yeah, let's use this. Let's change template. So there are different templates for retrospective. We can do what went well, what we need to improve, what are we going to do. We can do start, stop, continue. We can do 4L. So and it's good to spice it up so it doesn't get boring. Let's do, I've never really seen Mad, Sad, Glad. Let's try Mad, Sad, Glad. All right. Vote for person 1. And I didn't really try this out yesterday. Usually what happens is, because again, the inconsistency with the class, I can't ahead of time add people to the email, but let me see if I can do that from here. So if you click on this link, I'm guessing that you should be able to join the board. If you can click on the link, you should be able to join the board. And then, can you guys see the link in the chat box? Can Camille, Kingsley, can you guys see the link in the chat box? Hello? Can everybody? Am I still connected?
Okay, whoa. I was kind of sent to here and there and I couldn't find you. And yes, the link is in the chat and I clicked on it and it brought me to, whoops.
Yes,
And
I'm able to see it as well.
it brought me to a MAD, Easy
Glad.
Retro IO, Sprint 1
Yep.
Retro.
So Kingsley, are you also in there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, so now as a Scrum Master, I know that Camille is vocal. Camille doesn't mind saying her voice. But I know let me just put in this case, Kingsley doesn't like speaking up because he hasn't gotten to the spot where he's comfortable with the team. So as a Scrum Master, hey guys, let me know what you're mad about in this sprint, and then what you're sad about and what you're glad about. Now I'm trying to rush this. And Camille can say, oh, I want to say, but let's just say it. But because I already know that if we do vocal, Kingsley will not really share what he wants to share. I can say, you know what, guys, put it in the ticket and use anonymous. So anonymous feedback can also help to create psychological safety. So for me, you can type what you want me. I'm going to type my own. I'm mad that the product owner did not know the product owner mentioned screen reader. No, product owner wasn't prepared for the sprint planning. That's me. I'm writing mine. You can write yours. Can you guys actually add to the board?
Yes, if I can log in into my Gmail, but I'm
Oh,
using my phone though, so I'll
is that
just
for you
watch
to
for
log
now.
in?
Yes, for my Gmail. Yeah, but I can just watch and just watch it
Okay.
do for me.
Okay, let's just pretend that Camille said she's sad that the the team couldn't meet with her before the. Oh, let me change it to sad that the management took her to an outside job.
I typed something in there. Did it not go through?
Oh, we can't. Did you save it? Oh yeah. Oh, I see it now.
Yeah.
How dare you put me in the blast for being vocal? No, I'm a team member. I'm not a scrum master. So hey, Kingsley,
Mhm.
as a scrum master, you have to resolve this. Find a way to as you can see, there's tension in the team. So now I don't know sometimes if it's the scrum that made me become very active with human behavior, psychology, communication style, because I dealt
Mhm.
with humans a lot. I started learning how to know when someone is not speaking up, know when people are actually just agreeing to everything you're saying because they don't want to argue with you. So things
Yes.
like that are skills that a scrum master would need. So this is what a retro is like. I know we're rushing it. Hopefully we'll have time maybe in the future to really take time to simulate this. But basically, this is what happens, and then we can vote. It's okay, guys, let's vote. Wait, are we not glad about anything? Of course, I'm glad. Um, happy we found a recording device. That's a win, man. So that we are not just all grumpy. So this is mine. Save, boom. And so it's always best from experience to start with
Mhm.
what people are happy about. You guys to celebrate it before you go into the dark ones.
Mhm.
Because unless you, I don't know. I've learned from experience it's best to always go with the happy one first. So am I here? So we have to vote. We vote on the product owner wasn't prepared for the sprint planning. Boom. I say one, maybe two people vote on it and agree. Okay. Then we talk about it. So, hey, Camille, but Camille already put that she was sad that the management took her to an outside job. We're like, oh, was that why you were not prepared for the meeting? And Camille says, yeah. Oh, so is there any way we can help you? Because we know that this management is just not, because in real life, companies don't do real Scrum. Like the management sometimes don't care. Now, as
Mhm.
a Scrum Master, I can say, hey guys, all right, knowing that the management will always take Camille out, how do we help her so that during the sprint planning, sprint review, we don't look bad as a team? We can
Mhm.
now say, okay, you know what, Camille, do you prefer to get an email summary? As a Scrum Master, I don't mind bringing you up to speed. Or why don't we have a 30-minute chat before the sprint planning so that I can bring you up to speed? Now, these are ways to collaborate as a team because we just almost look bad in front of the customer and we wanted to fix it. Sometimes it could be all wins, if that makes sense. But we consider the fact that some people can be very vocal, some people are maybe introverts, then you try to use the anonymous feedback as well. Some people will be like, no, 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 no. We don't have to use anonymous. We are all vocal here. No, that person saying we're all vocal is the vocal person.
Is the vocal person?
So sometimes I've been in teams where when I suggested anonymous, well, no, no, why should we be anonymous? We are all comfortable with ourselves here. No, that is the loudest person in the room.
Mm.
And people have learned to agree with what the person is saying because they don't have the energy to argue with the person. I've coached teams where somebody will come to me, I have a one-on-one, I get feedback. I'm like, do you want to share it with the team? No, I don't want to share it with the team. Please make me anonymous. So because of that, I started including the anonymous feedback to our retrospective, even with, now, see, within the people doing the work, some people are still not comfortable with their other team members. Now, imagine having a manager in the same meeting. So some managers think, oh, because they're likable, oh, people like me. You know, people sometimes warm up to you just for peace, but even if you're their friend as a manager, you are still their manager. They don't want to look bad in front of you, because this whole psychological safety is new in the corporate industry, where if somebody finds out that you have a challenge working on something, they wouldn't hit you with the hammer. They would suggest tools to help you. Like that's a new corporate culture, which is still not very obtainable. So people are still a bit reluctant to be open in the team. But some teams I've worked with will tell you, oh, we're a very built team. And if you check, it's one person that's always saying that. And that is the person who is controlling the entire team from experience and from psychology. Let's see. So this is what a sprint retro would look like. Sorry, we didn't have enough time to, take that. And then so some of the anti-patterns we'll find out is for sprints, you keep having work roll over to the next sprint, always changing the frequency of a sprint. Like today, you say you want to do 1 month sprint. The next time you say you want to do 2 week sprint. And then, you have a specialized sprint. Okay, this sprint is for designing. This sprint is for finding the videographer. Like, no, have everything to get chapter 1 ready. Instead of using the sprint to find the videographer, using the next sprint to get a video. No, just let everything be done within 1 sprint. Have something, viable. And then you've got running sprints as a mini waterfall project, the same with the other one. Then putting the entire sprint backlog in doing. Like here, as soon as you start, you take everything and dump them into doing. Remember how I was pulling things from ready to in progress? Some people will just take everything and dump in ready. It's an anti-pattern. It doesn't give, don't move something to ready or in progress that you've actually not started working on. Then again, according to research, you lose 25 minutes every time you task switch, especially when they are critical tasks. People don't actually multitask, people switch tasks. That's research that has been done. So if I go from looking for a videographer to suddenly looking for a video camera, each time I do that, I lose 25 minutes because it takes my brain a while to go from it's someone to record I'm looking for to now I'm looking for an actual camera. So research has been done, which is why it's good for people to focus on 1 task per time to get it done before you get to the next one. So tips for breaking those anti-patterns is a 2-week sprint. Maybe good instead of starting with a 1 month sprint, start with a 2-week sprint, then determine if you want to make it longer after that. Then keep the length as consistent as possible. Don't go in and out of 1 month, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 weeks. Make it as consistent as possible. Then common sprint planning anti-patterns include, backlog or participants are not prepared for the event. Like we saw in the sprint review in our simulation. Sometimes in the sprint planning, like we also saw in the sprint planning, we did not know that we needed to get to the location. So it was not in the backlog. We added it during the sprint planning. And then the purpose of the event is not fulfilled. Because, for example, we did not pre-plan to know that we couldn't find a driver or something. And then you have tips for breaking that. Ask questions until you're clear. Don't let anybody hush you as the one doing the work. Ask questions like, are you sure you have the drivers ready? okay, what time is the driver going to come and pick us? How long is it going to take for us to get there? Because we need to record this, all those questions. Until you have a good sense of how to implement it, you must collaborate to solve problems together, like we solve together instead of leaving it for one person. And the team understands all the work needed to create an increment. We forgot that we had to drive to the location. So that was kind of like an opportunity there to improve. Then strategies, the way we want to get the job done, and then we have to improve on things. And then you've got daily anti-patterns for daily Scrum meetings. It becomes a status meeting. Yesterday I did this. Today I will do this. No blocker. Like I've seen people do that. It becomes like a robotic thing. And then people are not involved because you're talking about yourself. You're not talking about something collective. I zone out. You know what I mean? Team members become focused on their own work and forget to be collaborative. Then on several daily stand-ups, there's this particular, let's say I'm very, I don't like to be vocal. I rather type, and then maybe, no offense, I don't mean any harm. Let's say Camille just talks, but then I'm a bit introverted. I don't know how to type. You find out that that daily stand-up would be Camille says everything. So in that situation, the Scrum Master should know how to get maybe have like a one-on-one if you're not involved in those meetings. It's advisable to be involved in the daily stand-ups in the beginning. You can find a way to get the team to incorporate having people who don't speak up to also contribute to the meeting. One of those ways is to rotate facilitation. So if Kingsley is not very vocal, hey Kingsley, why don't you drive the board today? So Kingsley is the one to go to the board and say, okay, hey guys, here's what we have. Somehow, because he has to explain, he will find himself contributing. So you can rotate that every time. Don't let it be one person. Today, Camille, tomorrow, Kingsley, next tomorrow, Chika. Then that's what we did yesterday is it's an anti-pattern because I've worked with teams, they thought it was working, it was just micromanagement, and I could see how it wasn't working, but the product owner loved the micromanagement and it was counterproductive. But micromanagers usually think that they are progressing, right? Just anything, any sense of, okay, at least they're doing something. I know of people who would finish their work a week into a month of working, but they will never tell the team because they'll just keep bringing it out in small sections. So developers only make changes to the sprint backlog at the daily Scrum. Now, you can do that before the daily Scrum. Product owner and Scrum Master are forbidden from going to daily Scrum, even if their participation will be useful. So they're not forbidden. You can invite them if you have issues, like we had to invite Camille for. Then the tips focus on meeting sprint goal, consider what value is being brought, create a safe space for everyone to be comfortable to participate. Again, some people are not very vocal. Some people are very vocal. For me, I keep saying that because collaboration is about people contributing. If you don't have every member of the team contributing, then you are not having the full, you're not having the 100% contribution of the team. And then create an environment where people are eager to help one another instead of saying that's your job. Hey, you need help with anything? Like in our retrospective, I said, how do we help the product owner since the management keeps taking her away? That's like trying to help the team. Scrum Master's assistance is not required at daily Scrum. Yeah, it's not required. The developer should manage the meeting and consistently meet its purpose. Sprint review anti-pattern. It becomes a status meeting and demo, one-way presentation. You don't get the stakeholders involved in the conversation. So how do you know what's happening? Or you have sprint reviews where you don't invite the stakeholders, the customers. So who are you doing the work for? Then the job done does not conform to the definition of done. For example, somehow we managed to get a screen reader, but how did that get into the sprint? Then the customer was like, screen reader, I was going to read from the book. which means that somehow the acceptance criteria something might have happened along the way. Then the team presents a list of product backlog items completed without showing the stakeholders the outcome of the product backlog items or having a discussion about the work. Like somehow it's good to also demonstrate and say, here's how this thing works. Once in a while, some teams do it once a month or once in 2 months, they do a demonstration of what they've been doing. The result of the sprint is only shown in the presentation, and then the sprint review is conducted to have product owner accept the work completed by the developers. There are people who have done that. So in software development, there's a release planning. And sometimes people mix them up and don't get things done until items are released. That's a different thing entirely. For Sprint, it's getting it to a shippable, deployable, dispatchable, usable product or service. As long as it can be used, it is done. It doesn't have to be published first. It doesn't have to be what's it called? Used first, updated, uploaded first. As long as it's usable, it is done. And then somehow people have to wait for the product owner to accept that the work is done. No, the product owner is not the boss of those doing the work. If I think the work is done, I move it to done. Then the customer tells us if it's okay or not. Developers do not attend. And then if developers don't attend the sprint review, how are they going to know to ask questions to the customer? How are they going to get feedback from the customer? And then there are no actual users or customers among the stakeholders present. You just invite like managers or who don't really have anything to say. You just want them to come see how good you are. But the actual customers are not in your meeting. It's a disservice. It's an anti-pattern. The tips: make certain that the correct stakeholders are invited. The customer who wanted the video book, make sure the person is there or a representative from that company. Then foster direct collaboration between stakeholders and team members. Don't be the middle person as a product owner. Let them interact with the stakeholders in the meeting. Then facilitate the event so that the stakeholders can be hands-on with the product. So like do it in such a way that I can also ask, wait, hold on. Well, what is the screen reader doing in this thing? Let me also contribute to the meeting as the stakeholder. And then, of course, because as a customer, I don't really know the technical jargons or the technicalities. For example, Kingsley, we've used a restaurant as an example. I might not know about the sauteing and the knife skills that are used. I don't care about that. So try not to get into all those details when you're having a conversation with the customer. Don't get too technical in your conversation. Be clear on what's done and what's not done. Oh, we're almost done with this. We've already found the driver, but he's yet to agree. It's not done, it's not done. If it's not done, it's not done. Discuss how the sprint went, gather feedback, review current state of the product, and then decide what to do next. And then we have anti-pattern for retrospective. Scrum team members do not actively participate. For example, maybe because they're on their phone and they cannot use their phone to log in, somehow we have to just make sure that Kingsley is on his computer so he can log in, so he can participate, things like that. If you don't raise issues, but you are grumbling about it outside the meeting, there's no psychological safety. Again, maybe because the product owner or the scrum master they're bossy people, they're micromanagers. So maybe you've spoken up in the past a couple of times and your voice was shut down, or you were attacked for speaking up. Suddenly you find yourself, I don't want to be the bad guy, not contributing anymore. Or you've said something over and over. They're still saying, okay, last sprint, they said they were going to get us a driver. This sprint, they're saying they're going to get us a driver. We're tired of saying we need a driver to complete this book. See, it becomes exhausting to repeat the same issue we had last sprint. So somehow, I don't know who's going to do that, but they have to get the management to understand that we need a driver so that we can get this job done, which is the recurring items and then things not changing. So what well, again, the retrospective, if you keep doing it in the same way, what went well, what's the challenge, what could be improved, it becomes boring and people start, zoning out, which is why you had all those formats that were there when I tried to start mine. Then you've got the tips would be encourage an environment where team members are eager to improve their working environment. Now, this is a bit difficult. It's a bit tough. I've worked with a team, bunch of teams, and then there was one team, young team, very diverse. They were eager to learn something new. They were eager to say they couldn't do it. They were eager to say, oh, I'm going to have to learn this. But then I've worked with teams who prided in, oh, we've been high performing. We don't need to improve. That was a problem for me because Agile and Scrum encourage growth mindset. If you have somebody from the team that doesn't think they need to improve, it's gonna be tough. It's a mindset thing. Then encourage psychological safety. So that doesn't have to necessarily be that people must speak up. You can use like the anonymous feedback to ensure that everybody is speaking up. You can get people to, say, sometimes it could be a language barrier as well. If I think people are not understanding my accent, I might get uncomfortable communicating in the next meeting as well. So things like that as a Scrum Master. So all these tips are for the Scrum Master. As a Scrum Master, you should find a way to make sure that people engage in a sprint retrospective. Uh-oh, that was too fast. So that's basically it. That's still it. And then we've come to the end of the class. So quick recap, the 5 Scrum events, the sprint planning comes next. You have daily stand-ups in between. Somehow within it, you have a ceremony called product backlog refinement, where you refine the product backlog for the next sprint. It's not an event, it's a ceremony, just for clarity. Then you've got, at the end of the sprint, you've got the sprint review. Then you've got the sprint retrospective. And then for the sprint, it is owned by the Scrum team. For the sprint planning, it's owned by everybody because the product owner brings the product goal, the developers say how it's going to be done, and the Scrum Master ensures that, it's realistic. And then for the daily stand-up, it is owned and driven by the developers. Sprint planning needs everybody. Sprint needs everybody. Developers are mandatory for daily stand-up. If the product owner and Scrum Master contribute to the work being done, then they can be there. Now, you should not ban the product owner and Scrum Master from coming to the daily stand-up, but they are not mandated to be there. You can invite them when things are not going well, when you need their help or clarity. Then you've got the sprint review. For that, you need the entire Scrum team, and you need the stakeholders who are doing the work for. Try not to bring in somebody who is, oh, well, the manager is here if the manager is not a stakeholder. And then you've got, because sometimes people have that anti-pattern of bringing in, so they think we're doing a good job. You need real feedback from the customer. Then the sprint retrospective is owned by the Scrum team, but then facilitated by the Scrum Master. Developers facilitate daily Scrum. Scrum Master facilitates retrospective. Product owner kind of like starts the sprint review, but Scrum Master also helps to facilitate. And then retrospective is facilitated by the Scrum Master. Now, any question? Any question?
The only question I'm going to ask, I think what I had before was about the blockage, but you clarified it on how to deal with it. Well, but this is my first class, and I'm really enjoying your class. I have taken, I think, product owner course before by an Indian guy, and I didn't really understand the accent, and his explanation wasn't that clear. But your previous videos, how can I maybe get a hold of it?
Okay, and yeah, for Camille too, I'm gonna post it again. So there's going to be, so unfortunately we don't have the first video, but we have for the second slide and the third slide. The first one was in person when we started. We did not have people were coming into a class, and then we did it from there. So I'm posting something again on the link. Let me know if you find it, if you see it. And Camille, before you go, there's an assignment so that next week you don't. So please role play sprint planning for next week. Find people around you to role play, and then read additional resources on effective Scrum events. And I mean, if you can follow me on LinkedIn, please do. It's linkedin.com and then TOECM. And I posted the link. This for next week. Here's what to expect. We're going to review the homework, then we're going to do sprint planning techniques. We're going to learn how to manage the sprint. We're going to learn how to, then we're going to do group exercises again for sprint planning simulation. So you didn't really lose out a lot. We're going to do sprint planning again next week, and then you're going to have another homework. So that will be all. I've pasted the link in the chat. If there's nothing else, I think we can call this a day. And I can say, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Have a good week. Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, same to
Likewise.
you.